Our next speaker, or speakers, because it's a double act, are somewhere in between. You know, solution provider, merchant, they're actually a marketplace. So we're going to hear from Iryna, who's product owner for payments platform, as well as Rafael Garcia-Suarez, who's actually French, not Spanish, and principal developer at payments and finance platforms, both of them from Booking.com. So please give them a warm welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we go on the one back before?
One slide back.
Perfect.
Yes.
So just to give a background, today we're going to focus on telling you the story why travel is playing a key role in innovating the payments industry, and what is the role of Booking.com in that specifically, what challenges and problems we experience while building our payment platform internally. Yes, and as Alan already mentioned, my name is Iryna Agieieva. I'm a product manager for payment platform within the payment platform of Booking.com.
My name is Rafael Garcia-Suarez, and I'm the main software architect for our payment and finance platform at Booking. And I would like to start by talking a bit about how travel was always a driver for innovation in payments. Even if you go back to the 19th century, when American Express created the traveler's checks, it was to solve the problems of travelers. They didn't want to carry around a lot of cash in different currencies. It was inconvenient. It was maybe dangerous. So they replaced that by traveler check, paper-based payment methods. Later, in the early 20th century, credit cards started to appear, first in retail for loyalty reasons, then issued by banks like Bank of America. That was later spun off as a Visa network. And one of the innovations there was that the Visa network was licensing issuing of cards to many banks across the United States, allowing the cardholders to pay in every state, even the states where their bank was not based. And today, travelers all over the world are still facing the same challenges. Currency exchange, cash, acceptance of payment methods wherever they go. Those are the things that Booking.com wants to help solving.
And so the way majority people know Booking.com is not yet connected to payments. In our original business model, the flow worked in a way just collect the payment details, the PAN from the guests, and pass it to the property, to the accommodation owner in a secure and two-factor authenticated way. And then it's a property responsibility to take the payment, and then from Booking.com side, we would just invoice them at the end of the month for outstanding commission, and they would have to pay this invoice to us. But so even in this model, what are the challenges and how they're connected to payments? And to answer this question, let me tell you a story. Our credit control department noticed once that a lot of properties in Kenya had an outstanding invoice. And when they tried calling them to understand what the reasons behind, why they cannot pay for the invoice, why there are so many debt out there, the answer from all of them was, we didn't see the guy on the motorbike. We're like, what? Yeah, we didn't see the guy on the motorbike. So everyone was surprised. What does it mean? When we reached our local office to understand the reasons behind, they were not surprised, actually. They said for some of the properties, they simply don't have an access to the bank account to wire funds back to Booking.com to pay for the invoice. So they're waiting for the guy on the motorbike to pass around their village, collect cash from them, and execute the wire on their behalf. And how does it tighten to us? So by understanding this problem, that there are some non-professional property owners, and they simply don't have access to the simple bank account to power them and be able still to utilize our platform, and then to be able to net the commission and leverage the coverage of alternative payment methods, Booking.com introduced a payments model. In this case, we facilitate the payment from the guests, and then we just pay out to the property the full amount that, the amount that we collected on their behalf. And to add even more complexities that we currently have to support on our payment platform, Booking.com present not only in accommodation sector, but we also provide such services as attractions, like you can buy tickets for any attraction venue, or car rentals. And from the payment platform perspective, we need to make sure that we can accommodate all of those business models and different product needs to speed up their go-to-market strategy and eliminate all the potential payments burden from their side. And the way we are doing it is not yet just building another PSP. That would be way too easy, I would say. We could have connected to several PSPs. There are lots of them even here in the room. What we are trying to achieve is to bring the value to Booking.com products, is to speed up their go-to-market strategy, as I mentioned already, and everything connected to payments, put it on the site, and focus them on delivering their product, while payment platform would handle everything else.
And when building this new payment platform, there are many challenges that we have to solve. And the first one, the most obvious one, is that we are operating in travel. So we have a lot more cross-border payments than a simple retailer, for example. So with cross-border payments come FX rates and risk. Plus, we are not really a merchant. We are more of a marketplace, so we have to manage inventory on behalf of our suppliers. We have to manage the uncertainty of travel, change of plans, delays, flights. And moreover, we are global. We operate in more than 100 countries. So we have to comply with all tax regulations in every country where we are present.
And so when it comes to travel, there are two types of travelers. There are domestic ones who travel within their country, and then there are international ones who are actually crossing the border and going outside of their country. If we are focused on the first ones, the payment experience and also the booking experience on our platform, you would imagine they would expect to have it exactly the same if they went grocery shopping. They do not expect to have some extra payment charges associated with it. They do not expect to see payment methods that they're not familiar with either, because they're traveling domestically. That's something that they're used to do on a daily basis, or whatever basis they travel. When we are talking about international ones, you actually want to eliminate this potential burden associated with the payments. Imagine if you would travel right now from a cold Berlin to sunny and warm Bali, and the only way to pay for you would be local Indomaret or Alphamart store. And on top of that, you had to convert Indonesian rupiahs to euros without using Google. And so taking two examples, the ways to solve it, there are of course several of them, but what we wanted to emphasize is to introduce a local acquiring on one side. Here is a challenge that you always need to do the math yourself, because introducing local acquiring can also either decrease your interchange cost or also increase it on the other side. So always do this math yourself. And of course, introducing alternative payment methods to make sure that you provide the experience that your customer is used to. And what is the most important out of it is not just to improve the customer experience, to increase your acceptance and authorization rate, because the value that we have is we increase the lifetime of the user on the platform, because the payments is so easy for them that they don't even pay attention to it. We are solving some problems, but by doing so, we also can bring some extra problems. And one of them is a fixed cost, obviously, if you have to deal with all this virality of local acquiring and alternative payment methods.
So, as part of the payment platform, we want to provide flexibility in payment for the customers and in paying out our suppliers. And to go back to the example of Bali, you might want to book now a holiday this summer in Bali, pay now in euro, because we are in Germany. But we will pay out to the property probably when you stay. And we will pay out in Indonesian rupiah. So we have to find ways to manage the risk associated to the currency rates while being convenient for our suppliers and providing a good service, and without creating headaches for our treasury department.
Inventory, that's a really good topic, knowing that we are actually operating in this marketplace model. But before answering that, let me ask a question to the audience. How many people here booked ever accommodation on the Booking.com website? Okay, good. So you're quite familiar with the book process and the way how it works. It means that you might notice that during the book process, there are those messages here and there indicating the data points, how many people either booked this room in the last 10 minutes, or how many people tried to look for this accommodation in the last couple of hours. But what does it mean for payments, actually? Well, it's as simple as that. We do not own the inventory, and to guarantee reservation to the property, we need to collect funds from the guest first. And if 10 people at the same time trying to make the same payment, it can happen that someone else was just a couple of milliseconds faster, and we already collected funds from you, but then there is no inventory. Or the same can happen, a lot of accommodations providers do not provide all inventory to Booking.com. They also diversify their risks and put it on different OTAs. So someone else could have booked exactly the same room at the exact same time, and then it's on another OTA website, and it's simply gone. In this case, we have to deal with the problem when the funds are already collected from the guests, but then there is no rooms that we can give out. And we do want to keep this customer on our platform, so we need to find a way how to return the funds as soon as possible to the guest so he can continue making a reservation on our platform. And of course, one of the ways to achieve it when it comes to credit cards is to not capture the funds from the card right away, but just pre-authorize it for the amount before we get the confirmation of the inventory. And in case it's gone, just void it back and make sure that the guest will remain on our platform.
This was for when you actually make the booking, but before now, on your stay, you might change plans. You might want to add a few nights, or remove a few nights, or just change the dates, or even cancel completely. And hotels typically put in place policies like if you cancel in the last 2 days before arrival, you still owe one room night. Or if the dates are in high demand, maybe you will need to pay a 50% deposit upfront that is non-refundable. All those use cases have to be facilitated by the payment platform in a way that is seamless for the customer, and that guarantees the payment and secures the payment for the hotel. Then there are many things that are uncertain and likely to change when you travel, but one thing is certain is you are going to pay taxes at some point. And taxes change from a country to another. It might be VAT, it might be GST in India. And besides those general taxes, there are other compliance issues and taxes that are very specific to travel. For example, in Uruguay, the amount of VAT you would pay differs for international and domestic travelers. Another recent example is that in France, OTAs, or online travel agents, have to collect the city tax for non-professional properties like apartments, bed and breakfast, and so on. And all those things change quite fast. And since we are operating in a lot of countries, we have to stay up to date at all times. Then, thank you for listening. If you have any questions about the world of travel and the world of payments, you can find us at those email addresses or somewhere in the corridor later. Thank you.
Thank you.